Hello everyone, welcome back to the Geek Beach. This is just like the Geek Wave, except we take these a little slow this time, No dramatic stuff going on, just nice and easy, nice and calm, talking about the Geek Beach. Everything new in the world of geekdom. Taking it nice and chill for live show. We are still finding the formula of kind of what day I want to do this. Decided not to do it yesterday, I had some stuff going on, so I was like, let's not do it. Now I'm thinking Sundays, maybe Sundays, but I watch a lot of live shows Sundays, so now I'm thinking I'm not going to do it Sundays. I think I might find a day in the middle of the week to do it, but we'll see what happens. Could go either way for me, but honestly, I don't know. We'll see how this day goes. Obi-Wan Kenobi boys, we're going to be talking that still too. But I do have a couple of things I want to talk about before that. A couple news pieces I think are worth mentioning before we get into the other stuff that's coming out. But like with every other episode of the show, I do want to start off and show some stuff that I bought. And I bought something that's kind of interesting. That's from a line I don't know a lot about, and they're kind of fairly new. And I can't remember who's actually producing this line. I don't think it's Konami, but they're doing a lot of stuff with this company right now. So this is the Pokemon Select Greninja. And there's 4 Pokemon Select figures out right now. I think they're doing different scales eventually in this line, showing different sizes and different opportunities for this stuff, but I wanted to get Greninja solely because it goes with the Charizard I have down there, because it's a Smash stuff. I could build a Smash Bros display up with these things, and Greninja is an interesting enough piece where you can kind of get it kind of autonomically correct, but still looking kind of like a cheap figure. I think the Charizard figure is better than this one, but I still like this Greninja. It looks kind of cool. The tongue is actually posable, which really surprised me about this. It can't stand really good, and the plastic that they use on this is kind of cheap. But I think for the price range here in Canada, it's like $30. It looks good enough. It's a little expensive, I think, but for a higher end Pokemon figure that I know some people are kind of interested in, it's doing a good job as that. So I got the Greninja. There's an Articuno still out there, which I think is a weird choice to go Articuno. I get why you do it, because you don't really need articulation for the bird, so I get that. So it's kind of cheaper. And the Rayquaza, I have not seen the Rayquaza available yet anywhere. I kind of want to get that one. I think they announced a 3-pack with the evolutions of Squirtle, Wartortle, and Blastoise. So I'm still hesitant on this line. I picked this one up for the Smash shelf, but you can see there my Charizard's not even on a Smash shelf. It's just kind of connected to my vintage 90s shelf that I have going on. But Greninja, he's there now. It's a kind of interesting figure. I do like it, but I don't love it. And that's kind of just a thing we have there. So if I pick up more of this line, we'll talk about it on here. Again, I don't know if my channel could support doing a toy review show. I would like to do it. I just don't really have the studio set up to switch to that genre. I do have a lot of toys though, so if that's something people want to see me talk about more, I do want to talk about that. I did a video talking about the 20 years of Marvel Legends. That was fun. And maybe we'll get to that at some point, but I like this stuff. And just seeing the Pokemon's branching out a little bit more, that's kind of interesting. I hope they can do more stuff like this. Just take more opportunities. I should have figured out what company produced these. Maybe they do other good stuff. I don't know. The Pokemon Select, kind of a fun company, kind of a fun idea. Curious to see where that's going to go and how that's going to play out. This line so far, kind of interesting. Again, Pokemon Select Greninja. It's got cool effects. Not a bad figure. Kind of interesting. So that's pretty much the only really collectible I picked up this week. If you could call it a collectible. To me, it's more of a children's toy. But saying select means it's a higher end quality. But is it really? It's kind of fun. I do dig it. I do dig it. It's kind of a fun figure. But there's a couple pieces of news I do want to talk about kind of before we jump into other topics of note here. First off, this one, I kind of talked shit about it already. I do want to talk about it a little bit. Joker 2, have I really talked about this? I think I talked about it a little bit last week. They kind of just confirmed it, but now it's it's a musical. Lady Gaga might be here talking Harley Quinn. I am so fascinated by that, mainly because why? Why? I know why. I shouldn't say why. I know why. Big $1 million, billion-dollar movie, but a musical? The audience that you had that was captivated by that original movie is not the audience that wants a musical. I'm sorry, it's not. I love a good musical. It's one of my favorite genres because it takes more dedication than an action sequence. And I mean this wholeheartedly. An action sequence is allowed to look sloppy and choppy, where you can cut it away to different things, do quick cuts and exams. You can't do that when you're doing a sweeping dancing number or a big musical beat where you have giant sets with a bunch of cast. You have to keep it in focus because seeing the dance is the important part of that. So it's almost a little bit harder to do than just a rough and tough action sequence. You can cut away and make it look kind of sloppy. You can't do that for a musical number. So I think that's more impressive. But does the Joker audience want that? No, they don't. I think that's really funny. I think it's hilarious, actually, that a big studio is like, you have a pitch, it's musical, try it, see if it works. Not like West Side Story just bombed. Not that In the Heights just bombed. I don't know how the numbers are for Elvis right now, but I don't think that's projected to be great. So I don't think this is really going to be strong. But hey, you got an idea? Go for it. Try something new. And it's not even new. I just think it's brilliant. Like, there is something you could say about, like, the mad love idea of Joker and Harley. I said this last week. I don't think Todd Phillips and Joaquin Phoenix in that pairing can make a satisfying Joker story with Harley Quinn, because I think they're going to miss what that character is supposed to represent and what she's kind of become in terms of modern culture today. She's moved past the Joker. And I think you're going to backpedal a little bit when it comes to this storyline, but I don't know. Maybe it'll surprise us. Maybe it'll actually be interesting and worthwhile. I doubt it, though. I really do doubt it. I don't think it's going to be special. But I'm all for a musical. I like to see them try at least. Could be kind of fun to see that. Just really weird. And yeah, Joker movie. It wasn't great. I didn't like it at all. So they do another one. I don't really care, but I'll still watch it for this. I haven't talked about the Joker movie on this channel. Y'all know I hate the Joker. He's a character I don't like. I wish they would try something new in a different direction. But I guess sticking in Warner Bros. A little bit, I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up the Ezra Miller stuff. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. Just to say that it's now come to the point where Warner Bros. Has to make an announcement and say, we're not working with Ezra anymore, but we still have to release this Flash movie because of everybody else involved. Ooh. I would just take the L, honestly. They made it so toxic. Ezra really made this movie toxic. If you just shoehorn their character out and seriously just make it Michael Keaton and Sasha Calle's lead, maybe you could get something out of it. I doubt it, because it's still a Flash movie. They play two characters. I don't know what you can do. But it kind of sucks that the Flash has never got a movie before, and the one movie that they could have is not only just bloated with other Flashes and Batmen and Supergirls, but now the lead actor has ruined it to the point they're probably not going to get any profit from it. So if I were WB, cut my losses, don't release it, give Muschietti, Andy Muschietti directed this, give him and Sasha Calle a HBO Max series for Supergirl, start that story there, and then restart it that way. And don't be involved in anything else. Michael Keaton will be appearing in the Batgirl movie. You don't have to get him back for anything else. So just do the Sasha Calle-led Supergirl thing. And I feel so bad for her. I think more than anybody else involved in this production. I mean, besides the people behind the scenes that need this for like a paycheck, but Sasha Calle, this is like a big role for her. This is a named role where you can do some good, and everything is going to be tainted by Ezra Miller. That really sucks for her. And he will bounce back. He'll find other work, make another DC thing. They'll probably let him try. Maybe we'll let this fail and then try again with another Flash actor doing something else. I actually pitched a Flash movie. If you want to check that out on the channel, it's the Batmaning of the Flash. I pitched Jack Quaid as the Flash, Huey from The Boys. Guy's quirky enough to be weird and weird enough to be quirky. I think he'd be a good choice. I guess you could see Machete back doing something for that. So yeah, try it. You know, Ezra really ruined the brand. Don't like it. That kind of sucks. But what doesn't suck is, after long speculation and a Nathan Fillion cameo cut from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Wonder Man will be getting a series at Disney+. Interesting. Destin Daniel Cretton will be working on it. Kind of exciting. And they have somebody attached to write it. Not somebody who's very big, but I'm like, okay, that's kind of fun. I think it's Andrew Guest or something. Okay. I'm a fan of Wonder Man. I think that character is unique and fun and creative, and you could do a lot of interesting stuff there. Obviously, because it's Disney Plus and they're going to take the easy route, they're going to do the Hollywood tease, like we're gonna parody Hollywood and he's gonna make fun of everything. And look how every movie in the MCU is a superhero movie. I have no doubt that's what it's gonna be. And that could be done tastefully. Look, I think She-Hulk will be the testing ground. When you see we can do campy silly in that regard, I think it's going to open the doors to a lot of these other silly kind of self-parodying referential bullshit. And I think Wonder Man's perfect for that because, one, the character is not somebody you should take seriously. He's a joke of a character, and he is just a silly goofball. So you can do that there. He's also steeped in Marvel mythology, having ties to Tony Stark, the Avengers, to AIM, to MODOK, to Grim Reaper, to every other character, so you can open up a new door there. And I did a TikTok talking about this. Got a couple compliments and a couple comments that are like, oof, this is bad. I have 5 choices I would like to see for Simon Williams. Dan Levy apparently was controversial just because he's an openly gay man. He can't play a character like Simon Williams who's eccentrically Hollywood. I think he could do it perfectly. Kevin Bigley, who's a regular on Upload. Look, he's funny, he's dumb, he's perfect for it. Alden Ehrenreich, a guy who deserves another chance. We really screwed him over with Solo. The guy is talented, he is funny, he is charismatic. He deserves a big break like this. And it's not even a big break. He had his big break and it was good, but everybody ruined it for him. So that kind of sucks. Rob McElhenney is my number 1 choice from Mythic Quest and It's Always Sunny. He is just perfect for this. He's built to be that parody character. I think he'd be fantastic. On top of that, I got a lot of controversy for this one, apparently. And I stand by this pick because if you're doing parody, if you're doing self-referential, if you're making fun of the MCU, get a guy who's already making fun of stuff in his own shows. Not just with Family Guy and The Orville, but with every other thing he's worked on. He's making fun of other shows. If you're going to do Simon Williams, get Seth MacFarlane. He's already kind of a friend to Disney right now. Hulu is streaming The Orville. And he's not really producing much at NBC except for maybe that TED show that I don't think is going to go anywhere. So I'm just saying, you play ball with Marvel for a minute. You do maybe 2 seasons of this show. Throw yourself into Avengers movie before you die, and then you get killed off in that movie because Wonder Man's known for dying. Then you get more money. Then you make your Cosmos whatever the hell. Like, I think Seth would be good for this. And I know people are like, he's not a good actor. That's the point of Simon. Simon Williams is a bad actor, but he still gets breaks. That's the thing. It's all about the name cred. I think it'd be great. So I still think Rob's the right choice, but give it to Seth. I think that would be hilarious and make for some brilliant storytelling. And just imagine like his brand of humor mixed in the MCU. I know people don't like that, but The Orville's a brilliant show. And it's not just like fart jokes in space. It's Seth MacFarlane saying like, I'm a fan of Star Trek. I'm going to make my Star Trek. And that could kind of lead into another topic I do want to touch a little bit on in a little bit here. Actually, I guess we could talk about it now. That is the latest episode of Strange New Worlds. A lot of people, I guess, like it and didn't. A lot of the hate is coming towards the character of Captain Angel. Sadly, I get it. Understand where a lot of these people are coming from, where this character is being perceived as something. And they're supposed to be the mustache twirling 60s, 70s villain where everything's so dramatic and flamboyant. And I think the problem is, one, if it wasn't a trans actor playing that role, people would support it more. And 2, if it wasn't a trans actor, people would support it more. Like, that is the big controversy. But I'm like, really? That's it? That's why you're hating this character? Q is very androgynous. Like, there's nothing really sexual about that character. So it's just Q. But now if an actor who is a specific type of person, that's affecting you, like, really? I got criticism for liking Captain Angel for some reason, but I'm like, that is pretty fun. I like the reveal in that episode where they're the doctor, but they're secretly the pirate captain. That's kind of fun. I thought that was an interesting twist. You gave something for Spock and Chapel to play off of, and that was cool to see. I still think they're leading down a road where they're going to kiss more. And yes, they did kiss in that episode. Spoiler alert to anybody who hasn't seen it yet. Good episode, though. Really fun. And this stuff with Angel does lead me to want to talk about Reva in a minute here. But I have one more piece of news I kind of want to jump on before we get into Obi-Wan Kenobi. Oh, this is it. Like, this is something I've honestly been waiting for a while. It's pretty much since Fox was bought out by Disney. And I knew from that you were going to see some shifts from other properties they own. It started with Predator and Alien getting Marvel comic books. And I say that loosely because Predator had a comic book that was supposed to come out. It hasn't come out yet. Maybe it's coming out now. They had variant covers that, yeah, they just came and went, but whatever. So look, the Alien book, I'm enjoying it. I'm still on and off the book. There's some good stuff in there. I like what they're doing. I can't wait to see what they're going to do with Predator. But look, there's another property that Fox owned that means a lot to me. It's a property I have enjoyed, I think, since I saw the first movie. Every subsequent movie, I have something I enjoy about it. This is like a serious thing that I don't really think I touched upon before. When I was in high school, we watched one of the Planet of the Apes movies in class, and we were told to just write like an essay about it. And that essay was, I think, the first time I really delved into like studying film and like film criticism, talking about, it was the Tim Burton one, so it's the shitty one, but like that's the first time I really dived into talking about like film theory and all this different stuff, talking about film, was a Planet of the Apes film. So this franchise, it means a lot to me. I really do like the ape stuff. And now Marvel Comics is going to make another one. They're going to use the license and make a new Planet of the Apes comic. And that is so fun because there's been some great Planet of the Apes comics. They had a really cool team up with Green Lantern before. Of course, Marvel had the property back in, I think, the 80s or 70s. They had the Planet of the Apes property. But I like this a lot. And basically just like, I read all like the announcement that Marvel put out. Early 2023, we're going to start seeing stuff coming out from it. They were very quick to mention like Planet of the Apes is like a decades-long franchise with books and comics and games and movies and film series and all this stuff. And it just leads me to go, look, we're getting a Noah Hawley directed Alien thing on FX. We're getting the new Predator movie in August, which I cannot wait to see. Oh my goodness, yeah, and they're gonna do like the Comanche stuff for the Predator movie, where every actor came back to record the lines of Comanche. That's awesome. So that's coming out. Pretty much two Predator movies are coming out. The same one with different lines of dialogue. That's awesome. An Aliens TV series, and now slowly they're trickling out more Planet of the Apes content, and that leads me to believe that within the next, I want to say, year, we're gonna get the announcement for the reboot, the remake, the sequel, the prequel, the legacy sequel, whatever the hell, for a new Planet of the Apes thing. Because you own that franchise, it's a big name, you're doing everything else under your umbrella, that's when people like, I guess, you should do it. And I've literally had pitches for a Planet of the Apes show for so long, I'm not going to get too much into it. All I'm going to say is for my Planet of the Apes pitch, Yellowstone is a show I don't particularly love, but what if it was Yellowstone with apes? Just the wild, wild west with apes. Wouldn't that be awesome? I think that'd be cool. And you just see like their evolution is starting the way humans progress from certain technologies to the modern era, since they're starting in a new world. And in the original film, we don't see them with like much technology, with like guns and stuff. They just have basic guns, not futuristic stuff. I think we should see the evolution of their society, start off just kind of like ranching, go into where they're going to be later. So that could be very fun, but we're talking about the Marvel comic. Salvador LaRocca put out the art piece, which did show the original Guerrilla Soldier from the original film. So it's clearly in the Heston era that they're doing stuff. And I get that. Look, like I think as a creator, anybody who does this kind of stuff loves that era the most. And look, I love it too. It's like one of those movies that I enjoy. That first movie is so good. If it comes on TV, I'm watching it because it's strong and interesting and fun. I love the reboots of Rise, Dawn, and War. They're great. They're awesome. The Tim Burton one, it's fine. But I honestly love all of it. There's so much interesting stuff you can explore in this world. A good take on society and government, empowerment in our climate, in our world. You can do that with this show. And people might miss the point of it because, as we'll get into when we talk about stuff this week, people really miss the point about characters and shows and stuff. But just playing with Planet of the Apes, that's awesome. And you just have to imagine at some point, some writer at Marvel, whoever it may be, is just holding on to their pitch for Predator versus Planet of the Apes versus Alien versus the Marvel Universe. If they ever run out of money, and God forbid they do, they probably won't, somebody's got that in a drawer somewhere. And when that fails, they have Marvel versus Alien versus Predator versus Planet of the Apes versus Ultraman versus Star Wars. Somebody has that somewhere. I have to imagine it's going to happen. They've done a great job of keeping them separate. I just have to imagine at some point, somewhere down the line, someone's going to be like, what if Carol Danvers went into the future, came back to Earth, and it was Planet of the Apes. And we see that maybe some of the Marvel characters have turned into apes. Maybe we bring back Marvel Apes. Marvel Apes. Do you guys remember that? The mid-2000s, a story where Marvel characters were apes. Marvel Apes versus Planet of the Apes. Spider-Man ape versus Caesar. I don't know. Cornelius could work with Reed Richards or something. I love the potential for this, and it looks, I love it. And LaRocca is doing the artwork for Alien. I'd have to imagine that he's going to step up and do the artwork for Planet of the Apes too. Could be fun. And I'd love to have that job. Could you imagine being the guy that gets to do Aliens, Planet of the Apes? That'd be fun. That's so cool. I love this. Everything about this announcement excites me. It looks really fun. It's going to be a really enjoyable thing. And I'm going to cover it on the channel. I am waiting for the right moment to do every single Planet of the Apes film on Movie Tales. I'm waiting for the right moment. And speaking of Movie Tales, I want to talk about this a little bit because there's a big movie coming out in a couple weeks. I'm not talking about Elvis, and that's a big movie for some reasons. There's another big movie coming out July 8th. Thor: Love and Thunder. Before that movie comes out, you can find an extended version of Movie Tales where I'll be covering the entire trilogy. I decided that I have to do that. They're not great movies, but I got to cover them. You got to talk about them because synergy and whatever. I'm trying to get somebody involved to talk with them with me. We'll see what happens. But Thor movies, look forward to that coming fairly soon. I got another one I want to cover before we jump into the Thor trilogy. But that's exciting. Good for Chris Hemsworth to do that. Yeah, I'm not going to be covering Buzz Lightyear either. So I guess I'll talk a little bit about Buzz Lightyear before we get into everything else. I've been seeing a lot of reviews about it. It's opening second this weekend, and people are mixed on it. And I think word of mouth is very negative, and people are complaining about all the wrong things. What I'm going to say about this is something I've known since they announced it. And even as when I was excited, I knew this was going to be the case that they got wrong. I know. So I've seen all the reviews. I've seen all the spoilers. I know everything about this film. Once again, I have to reiterate, if this is truly the film Andy went to see in 1995, it wouldn't look like this. It wouldn't behave like this. It wouldn't sound like this. It wouldn't. This feels and looks like a movie made in 2022. The soundtrack is just not of the 90s. There are certain key moments that I've seen that do look like they're from the 90s, but the acting, the directing, the actual story does not feel like a 90s film. In the 90s, we're not telling thought-provoking pieces. That's not what a franchise is back then. It's Independence Day. It's Jurassic Park. It's not a thought-provoking piece. So Lightyear doing that? No, that's not a 90s movie. I'm sorry, it's just not. Whatever, though. Maybe they're in an idyllic future where we actually learn something about society and things were able to move fast and we can make good movies in the 90s. But I doubt it. I really doubt it. So Lightyear is going to be, I think, a lot of people's least favorite Pixar film. And from somebody who likes The Good Dinosaur, I'm not excited for Lightyear. And this is something that is just a little thing that bothers me, but I understand it. We were just in a pandemic. But you had Luca, you had Soul, and you had Turning Red. All of these films have important stories to tell young people. Everybody dies. It's okay to like your best friend, and growing up is hard no matter how you grow up. These are lessons that they are teaching in Pixar films. None of them went to theaters. None of them went to theaters. All those films that have very important stories, I wish they went to theaters, but I think they maybe have done better not going to theaters because you can just put it on whenever you want on Disney Plus. I wonder if that's going to be the cap in the hat for Pixar films releasing in theaters now. Lightyear, it did have a strong opening, but is it enough to make them justify doing it again? Because for a second there, Disney really didn't like Pixar movies releasing in theaters, so I wonder if this is going to be like, maybe we shouldn't. We should just stick over here and have Turning Red 2 again. Turning Red's a brilliant film, by the way. Like that is such an important and impactful story, and it's so interesting. It's just beautiful. It's fun. It's actually doing something with its animation, which I really like to see. It's just very fun stuff. What a good film. I love it. I think that's one of my favorite Pixar films in a long time. I liked Soul, too. Soul was fun. Luca was good. Luca, again, it's just Call Me By Your Name with fish people, and that's good for people like that. I thought it was fine. But I don't need to see Lightyear. I don't think there's anything important about that. Now, the next one they're doing is Elemental, which is the one of like the water dude and the fire lady. And it's like a world where all the elements are people, and that might have a story of impact where it's like, what do we do when we only are supposed to be one thing? What if I'm a wave and I don't want to like surf it out and ride it out, you know? What if I want to get angry and mad but nobody expects me to? Maybe it's like you're allowed to be more than one thing, you know, like Inside Out taught us. So cool. Maybe this is just a little theory I'm cooking up. Maybe Pixar's entering its like Family Guy, Simpsons era where suddenly all the content's self-referential to the previous content. So now nothing really original is being made. Maybe that's what we're seeing here. I don't think that's the case, but it could be something related to that. I don't know. Could be special, could not. I think Elemental will be the testing ground to see how original they're going to get with new stuff. And I say that considering Lightyear's the only one that's kind of been based on an already existing property when everything else has been original. So I guess original works for them better than not original. Cool. Did you guys see like Lightyear actually showing up in Disneyland? And it's just a guy. And I'm like, do kids know this? He doesn't even have the iconic like purple and green. It's just a guy in an astronaut suit that says Lightyear. That's not interesting. What kid wants their picture with just some guy? Because, okay, if you just said like, hey, this guy's actually Neil Armstrong, no one's going to know that. If this guy's Buzz Aldrin, no one's going to know that. Nobody wants just a picture with an astronaut. Because if you see a guy in the wild with an astronaut suit, your mind's not going, this guy's a hero. Your mind's going, okay, why are you in an astronaut suit? So just some guy at Disney World in an astronaut suit, that's not really interesting. I guess this is what they're doing now forever and ever. I'm surprised none of these Star Wars characters have been appearing at like Galaxy's Edge. Interesting, you know, because Miss Marvel just appeared too at Disneyland as well, and Moon Knight and Mr. Knight were making appearances. I wonder why the Star Wars ones aren't. And I guess we can talk about Obi-Wan Kenobi right now. Episode 5 came out, so we have one more episode of the show that comes out this week at the time of this video. Episode 5, I think, justified a lot of people's happiness with the series and also let people learn that maybe you need to finish a whole product before you judge something. Oh boy, people on the internet, aren't they great? So this episode kind of opens up with a flashback between Hayden Christensen and Ewan McGregor doing their Attack of the Clone looks. And you really felt their age. And if there was some CG on there, it isn't super noticeable, but you did say both these men are over 40. And it was noticeable. So yeah, whatever. That was kind of cool. And yes, that scene does parallel everything we are seeing that's happening in the story. Now, it's pretty much just showing us, which is something I really hope people can understand. Vader is a whiny little bitch who is just so dramatic. Okay, at every moment, it's, okay, we're going to jump around a bit. So the end of this episode, when he pulls down the ship to get Kenobi, and he has like it was like a bluff, and he doesn't get them, and the ship pulls away because he was so blinded by Kenobi. That is exactly what happens in A New Hope. Can people understand this? This is exactly what happens in A New Hope. When he kills Obi-Wan Kenobi, it's Kenobi sacrificing himself so Luke, Han, Leia, and Chewie can escape. It's the same play he did here, except this time, Obi-Wan was able to escape. And I'm like, he fell for the trap twice. That is why Darth Vader fails, because he's just so obsessed with one thing. He is so angry at the world, he can never fully escape that moment. And I'm like, that's it. That's the character. It is literally imitating what we're seeing in A New Hope. And the fact that some people can't see that is so infuriating. But that's what's going on. We're actually experiencing that. Isn't it special? And it's very cool. Ewan gets a lot of fun this episode. Tala dies, which I'm like, oh, that's intense and crazy. And spoiler alert to anybody who still hasn't watched it, but you get it by now, so that's kind of interesting. That droid is still really cool. The big old busty droid boy just doing some fun stuff. That was awesome. Very intense episode. And yes, we get the reveal. I kind of predicted something similar to this last week. It wasn't this thing. But look, since episode 1, I think since the show was announced and she was perceived as a main character, Reva has been on the hot seat for everybody who says they're a Star Wars fan, because she's not a Star Wars character, she's a character of color and a girl, and she knows everything about Anakin and Vader. Well, there's a reason for that. There's a reason that this show opened up with Order 66. There's a reason in Order 66 you see a young girl who looks exactly like Reva, because she was there when it happened. Do they explain how she got away? No, they don't. Do they explain anything? Not really. But here's the thing. She's playing all sides. She's after Vader herself because she knew it was Anakin. Why wouldn't it be Anakin? She saw him slaughter a bunch of people, bunch of kids. She knows who it is, and she's out for revenge. And this is where I'm like, of course it is. You people online who are doing these big hot takes and talking shit about Moses Ingram and this character, get the whole freaking picture. Clearly they were setting up this girl to be something else. Clearly this character who is so influential for the story but isn't in the future has more going on than what we see. Clearly that's the case, and if people couldn't see that since the first episode, I'm sorry. But film literacy is dead. You judge things based on one chapter, you're not going to get the whole picture. You can't look at one corner of a painting and see the beauty of the canvas. You have to experience it all at once. Episodic stories are still important. We shouldn't drop everything in one season at once. We should do it episodically. That's important. But this is special. This show has proven to me people don't understand things. They're not up to date on everything. They can't keep up with what we're talking about. That's kind of sad, isn't it? That a character who, of course, is important, of course, is relevant, and of course matters, doesn't matter to a lot of people because they're too scared to admit that this character matters. I'm like, oh, this is exhausting. Reva's an important character, and she's really cool, and she actually did something. She's probably not dead either because, hey, we could spin her off into everything. We're introducing a lot of new Jedi to the world because it makes sense that there'd still be Jedi alive. Now you have to wonder, going into episode 6, who is going to be the big cameo that we're seeing? Is it going to be Qui-Gon? I think so, because we know Liam Neeson's coming back for a Qui-Gon thing. Probably will be. Is it going to be Quinlan Vos? I would love it if it was Quinlan Vos. I was kind of thinking O'Shea was going to be playing Quinlan. I'm glad he's not. Mina Masao has been talked about working on this stuff forever. He hasn't officially said he's Ezra. Maybe he's Quinlan. Probably Ezra, but maybe he's Quinlan. Maybe he'll be appearing soon. Who's to say? But I'm very impressed with what Obi-Wan Kenobi has been doing. Like, this show, I think, has subverted the expectations of fans a lot, where once again, everyone wants the big epic duel where it's like everyone's showing down and fighting, and there's epic duels in this show, but it's never like these high stakes events where people are fighting each other to the death. It's just more like, I need to get away from Darth Vader because he's a force of nature and I am confused and broken and scared. I need to save these people so I cannot confront Vader as much as I want to, so I'm going to call his bluff and have his anger be his own downfall. It's brilliant. It's literally just filling in those gaps for A New Hope that you needed for Obi's character, and it makes sense to me. And again, our little Leia, she's talented and amazing. She's the best actor on the show. Honestly, she's doing some fantastic stuff. Just some really cool, really fun camera work. I love her. She's just great. And her little droid, I like that she's like, that's not how you're supposed to behave. Fixes the droid. Everything's hunky-dory. It's perfect, and it's fun, and it's silly, and it's cute, and I'm just really digging it. I'm really digging what this show's about, man. Is it perfect? No, it's not. There's a couple of duds in there, but it's pretty fun. Overall, I think it's better than the worst parts of the Book of Boba Fett and the worst parts of The Mandalorian. So it's pretty strong. Pretty strong. Way better than Boba Fett, because that got weird at the end. Not that interesting. But we also have The Boys to talk about. And, oh, what timing again with the cast of The Boys and everybody involved, where the moment they announce a Joker musical is the same week that The Boys is doing their musical episode. You can't buy that kind of genius. Like, they really planned that perfectly. And of course they didn't plan it. It's just great timing for them. I love that so much. And this episode, very fun. More Soldier Boy in here. And again, I want to talk about this briefly. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it, but this is something I want to bring up because it's important to say. I was looking at some people on TikTok, and they are just like, man, I don't like what they're doing with Soldier Boy and Homelander. I'm like, what are you talking about? These aren't supposed to be the guys we sympathize with. There's like one of those videos where it's talking about these guys having broken hearts because the women don't put up with their bullshit or abuse. And I'm like, what the hell is wrong with you? Where as a person in today's climate, you are looking at Homelander and Soldier Boy as people you are sympathizing with. They're monsters. Homelander is literally a broken psychopath who is going to kill everybody who doesn't stand in his way, and a certain type of male in the audience is reacting to that, like MM's ex-wife's new boyfriend. He's like, this guy's cool. She's learning good values, that little girl of yours. She's learning a lot of great stuff. I'm like, dude, you are really just milking the mega stuff here. This like Make America Great Again. Clearly it's a Donald Trump parody. And I know there was that article that came out from, I think, Variety or Deadline, where Kripke's like, yeah, Homelander's Donald Trump. It's a crazy lunatic in power that's destroying the world. And I guess people who like The Boys didn't realize this show's political. I don't understand that because it's clearly political from the get-go. You can't have a superpowered guy in an American flag cape who isn't political, who isn't making a statement. Unreal. That's like, I can't believe people. And yeah, Jensen Ackles, he's here. Soldier Boy. I just love the small looks he gives when he's walking down the street for the first time. Sees a couple of men kissing, sees a couple of guys in turbans, and just like, what the hell has society become? I also like when he just goes to see his girlfriend and she's doing some weird Joe Exotic shit. Just making fun of like the tiger sanctuaries the Joe Exotic had. She's got a chimp sanctuary and she's talking to Seth Rogen. And yes, okay, Seth Rogen put this out on his Twitter because we've seen Seth Rogen in a previous episode of The Boys where he's promoting his new movie. He said that the Seth Rogen that we see in this episode is in fact actually the Seth Rogen that we see who made the movie. And he goes by Sir Comes-a-Lot 778 when he's doing this stuff. So cool. Good for you, man. Just parodying yourself. I love it because that is just, it's so honest. He knows what he's about. He knows what he's about. So he's fine with that. And it works fun. And it's very funny and charming. And it's just a great scene. And not the first movie we've seen Seth Rogen jerk off in. There's a couple. I remember he did it in Long Shot, which that was funny too. That also had O'Shea Jackson in it, and that was a interesting movie. And I think he did it in one of the Neighbors movies, right? Like one of the Bad Neighbors movies. I can't remember, but not the first time we've seen him jerk off. So good, man. You found your niche. You're gonna make it work again. I love it. And what I love about this even more is that Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg, they're gonna be making Ninja Turtles next. So these guys love this era of comics, and that's really exciting to see. I dug it. Paul Reiser is the legend. Yeah, he was pretty good. I think it would have been really funny if it was Garth Ennis or Derek Robertson, but I'm like, I get why it's not. But could you just imagine if it was Garth Ennis? I think that would be hilarious because I like Garth Ennis a lot. I think he's a really cool guy. He's not somebody I'd want to hang out with, but he's made a lot of books that I really enjoy. And I just love his energy where it's like, if you saw these people, if you actually saw like Batman or Superman or any character like Captain America, you'd be like, what the hell is wrong with you? Why are you like this deluded mental patient running around? But for some reason, the Punisher is the one he's like, oh no, I get that. Yeah, Nom messes you up, bro. Like, I love that energy. I just love that he's like, yeah, no, that's it. That's the guy. Punisher's the guy. I'm telling you, G, he's the one. Because Butcher's just the Punisher. I love that every other hero is just a piece of shit. I think just if he was that character in this episode, it would make so much sense as to why all these heroes suck. But part of me honestly thinks Garth Ennis is just taking the paycheck. He doesn't give a shit what they do with this property or with his characters. Honestly, I can't blame him. Why would he care? He made this as a hate piece for superheroes in the early 2000s. Now they made it into something marketable and you're getting more money because of it. And now you can go make whatever else you want. It's brilliant. It's smart. It's creative. Good for you, man. Because I don't think he sold out. I don't think he sold out with any of this. I literally just think he just said, yeah, whatever. I don't care. I already told every story I need to tell really at the big two. And this is my takedown of the big two. So screw it. I'm going to go make that weird assassin book for Scout, which I think is what he's doing now, right? Is he still doing Sarah? I think it's called Sarah. Yeah, good, man. Do your thing. It's great. So yeah, Paul Reiser, the legend, works for me. Close to Stan enough where it's almost a little bit of Kirby in there too. Clearly just parodying that era. And I love to see it. I live to see it. It's very fun. This episode is not bad. Interesting stuff happening all around. The Deep kind of like gets control of like the power. No, what does he do? He's like the lead of the crime agency and he fires everybody because they're not up to par and he just has two people left. It's very funny. It works for that. I like it a lot. And there's this thing going around Reddit right now where this one person's like, I really understood what Blue Hawk was saying until he, didn't say right stuff. And I'm like, wow, you were relating to a character that was clearly a racist. And only when they called out the racism did you think it wasn't a racist character? Like, wow. I can't believe how dense some people can be with this stuff. They are beating you over the head with it. Like, film literacy is dead, and that's a whole other topic for another day. We're just a younger generation or a more social media influenced generation who don't have attention spans. They just can't keep up with what a film or a story is saying. That's a topic we could get into another day, but it's like, how dumb could you be where you can't see what they're doing with this character? That you just think they are perfect and fun, and only when they're called out for their hypocrisy does it suddenly become a problem. Like, what is wrong with people? Where you think Homelander's relatable, and when you see he's a bad guy, you're like, oh man, I don't think that's accurate. I thought this was just a fun little thing about nothing. So dense and so stupid. There's also that thing going around where somebody compared Anakin Skywalker to Jesus because Star Wars is a Christian story. Okay, did Jesus kill a bunch of innocent children because he was mad at somebody? It's so dumb. I can't believe some people, like, they don't want their Star Wars to be political. War is in the title, babe. What are you thinking is happening in these shows? It's unreal. And just between this episode of Kenobi, this episode of The Boys, and this episode of Strange New Worlds, it really led me to believe people don't want interesting things to happen in their stories. They just want random shit to happen that they think would look cool. Go watch a fan film. Go edit some stupid TikTok yourself. This is actual storytelling. We're actually in the height of great storytelling that's actually very interesting. Because look, Miss Marvel was great this week too, but it opened up lower than any other MCU show. Now, I think there's a lot of reasons for that. First off, it's competing against Kenobi, which is already hard to do. We're coming off of Moon Knight, which I just did a huge retrospective on the season, and overall, I don't think Moon Knight was a big success. And then I just think there's a whole audience that likes things like Loki and Hawkeye that don't like when MCU gets political, like Falcon and Winter Soldier or Miss Marvel. And Miss Marvel's not even political. There's just ideas about maybe a mosque could be run better. Maybe there's certain ideas of what a family should be represented like. And I think there's going to be certain people in the audience of this stuff that doesn't want to see that, and they just want bland nothingness. I'm here to tell you, even though it's the lowest opening show for an MCU thing, Miss Marvel's the best show they had. It is the best show they have made. It looks the best. It is the only time, I think, since WandaVision where an MCU film genuinely felt original and creative and had a vision in mind. There's great story beats and other stuff, but like an actual vision for the way the camera moves, the way the lighting works, the coloring alone, like the actual production design of Miss Marvel has some of the best costuming and coloring out of anything the MCU has done, because this is a culture of vibrant colors and flashy just aesthetics. Show that off. And they're doing a great job of that. I really dig it. And Kamala is an Inhuman. They're going to be setting that up. Is it going to be the Terrigen Mist hoop-de-doop? Probably not. But she's probably going to have the Nega bands that have interaction with the Terrigen Mist that awaken her powers. There you go. It's a new type of Terrigen Mist power Inhuman bullshit. It works fine. Iman is great. She's really killing it. Canadian girl too. I love that this new wave of MCU actors is all Canadian. Look, Simu, another Canadian. Tatiana's Canadian. Iman's Canadian. That's really fun. And Marvel, when are we going to talk Alpha Flight? Because I have a great video casting all of Alpha Flight. And if you need someone to write Alpha Flight, I would love to write Alpha Flight. I think it'd be really fun. I love that a lot. That's pretty much all the new stuff that I have to talk about. We have coming up this week Elvis, which I'm very excited for. I've heard a lot of mixed reviews, which is really exciting to me. A really weird Tom Hanks performance. That's awesome. Like, he's just so stagnant at times. I'm like, yeah, get weird with it, man. Do something new. Get crazy. Get weird with it. I want to see what awkwardness you can accomplish, man. That's going to be fun. And Austin Butler, a guy I've known since Zoe 101. Hell yeah, brother. I'd like to see what you can do in here. This launches you into a larger career. I have no doubt about that. Oh my goodness, I almost forgot. I wanted to talk about this. We got our first look at Ryan Gosling as Ken in the Barbie movie, and I I've been talking nonstop about this Barbie movie. It looks amazing. The pictures alone of Ryan Gosling and Margot Robbie makes me go, this is going to be the film of the year for me. It's my most excited film, I think, coming out in a long time. That's going to be awesome. Just looks like Freddie Prinze Jr. and Scooby-Doo. Just perfectly awkward and campy, and I love it. Oh, so good. That's going to be fun. His hair is just perfectly platinum. I love it. It's probably the best looking still we've seen from a movie in a long time. Very cool. I just had to bring that up because Barbie's going to be awesome. I cannot wait to see what that film's going to be. More than any other film, that one I think is going to be a genuine surprise. And Elvis, yeah, cool. Biopic of Elvis. Yeah, there's not been a million of those. We all know what kind of man he is in real life. So let's just not celebrate a creep like him, but still appreciate a piece of art. Cool. The Black Phone also comes out, which is the Scott Derrickson one that he made after he was going to do Doctor Strange for the Multiverse of Madness. He did this instead because probably he wanted to make a really good Doctor Strange movie and we didn't get one. So he's doing this instead. Cool. I'm excited. Ethan Hawke's an interesting actor. When he's doing a character like this, that's kind of exciting. I can't wait to see what that's going to look like. Could be fun. I think it's based on like a comic strip, right? Or like a comic magazine thing. It's based on an existing property, which is kind of exciting to see. So that's very fun. And kind of, I've just been rewatching Arrested Development. That's kind of where my mind's at right now. I want to do a big video talking about Arrested Development. So I was like, yeah, let's get back in the rewatch there. And the show is just brilliant. Even now, it's like one of the only shows I can go back and watch at least once a year, and I could still enjoy it and get new things out of it and just find myself loving and laughing everything that's happening on screen. Currently, I'm up to the part in the story where Kitty gets fired by Michael, and then we see the news reporter who's like, I can't be part of the story. I can't be part of the story. And then he goes to report the story as the eyewitness. I love that joke. It's just so funny because, like, it's such a character that would exist in a sitcom. It's being like, I can't get involved in what's happening here. I have to talk about what's happening here. I love it. It's just really funny. I cannot wait to get more into the show. And yes, I'm probably going to watch seasons 4 and 5 because they're not great, but I still think there's some gems in there of stuff I think is funny. So that's kind of where I'm at now. Again, the Thor trilogy, I'll be talking about that very soon. I don't know. Like, there's some parts in those movies that I think are good. There's some parts where I don't think they're bad, but I just don't care. And then I'm not as like hyped up as Ragnarok as some people are. I know people think that's like their favorite MCU film. I think it's just fine. I have a headphone fallout. I think it's just fine. It's an okay one. It does some interesting stuff, but whatever. It's fine. And yeah, I guess I could talk about some comics that came out this week, but there's not a lot of like big comics I need to talk about. Reckoning Lore is still going on. That's exciting, I guess. I'm kind of dropped off on Reckoning War. I'm still talking about it, but I don't think it's that great. Dan Slott is leaving Fantastic Four very soon. So, yeah. I think it needs that kick in the leg to do something new. It really needs it. It really needs it. My goodness, it's just been stag-bedded. And again, we're talking about like an incel story in Wonder Woman 788 right now. So some people might not like that, but I talked about this when I did the review. I don't understand why this book isn't getting the criticism that Superman Son of Kal-El is. This book is equally as political. I think it's just because that has Superman in the title, and you can't change Superman as much as you can change Wonder Woman. But I also think it's because Wonder Woman's a character steeped in a sexual identity and has like this history of being connected to these fun, flirtatious ideas. I don't know. That's just what I think. But whatever. Moon Knight, Black, White, and Blood was actually really good this week. I think this one really sold me on the concept of this story. All the short stories were just really interesting and creative, and this went to some great areas. I really dug it. And I'm really liking Jurassic League. Oh, that book is so fun. We got introduced to the Reverse Slash, which is just like a big Gamera-looking creature, and the Atrocosaurus, which is a Spinosaurus as Atrocitus. Oh, it's brilliant. I'm really digging this. We still haven't seen Green Lantern or the Flash show up yet, but I'm sure we're getting there soon. And that does lead me into the topic of the Geek Wave this week. So I kind of talked about it last week when I did my SpongeBob one. This time around, we're going to be talking about the next step for a Jurassic World franchise. Like, if we're done doing these Jurassic movies, where do we go from there? Do we pick another old story that we can play off of and do something creative with, kind of like the Flintstones or the Land Before Time? Do we make a new franchise like Fast and Furious but with dinosaurs? Or we do a time travel thing? I'm going to be pitching a couple ideas for a new Jurassic Park-esque franchise, and I think that's going to be really fun. So you can stay tuned to hear that in the next couple of days. That'll be something to look forward to. And as always, Thank you guys so much for watching this episode of the Geek Beach. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. As always, you can check me out on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. And as always, I will catch you in the next one. Have fun. Stay safe. Good luck.